Hello and welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent M. Clark, three-time World Series champion here. Well, actually, three-time World Series coach. Only won one of those three actually as a coach. And longtime serial entrepreneur, CEO of Leadershipity. I'm the author of Leading Winning Teams. I do host this podcast, Winners Find a Way, of course. And as most people see me, I've been the president of EOS Michigan for the last year, which has been a super exciting year, and been involved with the entrepreneurial organization for years. Spoken now over 17 countries, 5-star rated. So listen, reach out. I'm a growth guy. It's what I do. And of course, today on Winners Find a Way, I have got my good friend, Tony Wilkins. T. Wilkins, what's up, my man?
And just trying to make the best of what I've got for as long as I can. That's the deal.
That's the deal. Tony Wilkins, longtime friend out of Chicago. This man has been through a bit, and I love it. Northwestern grad. Then he went over to the University of Chicago, became a Booth grad. And if you don't know about the University of Chicago and the Booth grads, they are no joke. It is an absolute legacy. I've had a number of friends and projects involved with Hyde Park Angels, which is some of the Booth investors and grads that all have come together. And you were a longtime member of that group and involved.
I was there for a long time, really very close to the beginning. We were just trying to figure out what the hell are we trying to do.
Yeah. And you guys really figured it out, man. I'm telling you, you guys figured it out pretty good. I'm telling you. Yeah. So then, of course, 3 kids, all grown up now, man. And I think you got what? You got Stanford grad, you got USC grad, you got all sorts of them.
Yeah, they went to all the schools that should give them everything they need to get going. So they're in good shape.
They are well prepared and on their round. They have launched out of the Wilkins home. So that's pretty
right.
Nice, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're off the payroll.
PTL.
Love it. All right. Now, you've also written the book, The Art of Investing. Let's see a copy of that.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah. Tony Wilkins, The Art of
Sunrise,
Angel
my
Investing.
favorite part of the day. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you're a morning guy, longtime cyclist, man. I mean, this guy is healthier than anybody I know. And you and I have been involved with a couple different things. Obviously, got to know you because you used to rent my Arizona house while you and your buddies were out cycling. That's how we really got to know each other.
Yeah, it was beautiful, beautiful place right there. We're in the heart of cycling country. Maybe it wasn't the heart of everybody else, but for us, it was heaven.
Yeah. And I, for me, love that house. And part of our investing walk, right? Tony would come to do cycling, but I always had to pick his brain on investing because I'm buying rental properties and long-term, short-term rentals. So it was really cool and that's really how we got to know each other. And then, of course, we both mentored down in 1871 in Chicago. We were involved in the startup community, and we had Global Student Entrepreneur Award, GSEA, with EO. And Tony was coaching some of these companies that were coming through 1871 and growing tech brands. And then, of course, you were investing in some of those brands too.
Oh, yeah. One of the ones that just sold to Uber was called Spot Hero. Many people know that company because you're looking for a place to park. And then I was involved in Cameo. Both of those folks I met very, very early on. Another company that recently was bought out is called NutriSense, which was ongoing analysis of your glucose with the Libre glucometer. And those guys are really in the middle of the quantified self movement where people are really trying to grind down on what it is that they need to eat, sleep, drink, behave to be their best selves. So a lot of very exciting, super smart entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's fun. What was the what was the brand that was so prevalent in Chicago back in that day? Because they came up with the app with the discounts, right? What was it?
Groupon. You're thinking about
Groupon. Yes,
yeah.
The Groupon guys kind of really paved a little bit of a way for you could be a startup entrepreneur in the tech field. They were and they killed it, right?
They killed it. Grubhub is another one. Both of those companies went public. So those are big deals for us, little old Midwestern investors here.
Yeah. Man, it's been nice. Spot Hero is a great company, right? I've been a Spot Hero user for probably 20 years because they were in Chicago first. We were there. And so, and it was a big deal because what a need. We're in Chicago paying, $51 to park your car downtown for the day. And you're like going, man, I've only got to be here 3 hours. I don't want to pay 51 bucks. And Spot Hero solved a real problem. And the city probably should have let them run city parking instead of selling it to, to the Dubai group, maybe.
That's a sore subject here in Chicago. I mean, if you've been on the other side of that trade, you've done pretty well.
Yeah. The Dubai team did fine. Yeah, agreed. That's a whole nother matter. But man, you've coached a lot of executives. You've seen a lot of this thing. Still coaching, which is very cool. You're kind of out of the, the Mellon group and all that, where you did a lot of high-level banking and all that group. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's true. That finished up 2019, so we're coming up on 7 years.
Man, you ended right. Get out of there before 20. That was perfect.
I know.
Good timing. Well, here's one thing most people don't know about you. In addition to writing the book, of course, they're now learning about you, all these things, the total art of angel investing. You're building online classes around that, but cancer survivor, and you can kiteboard.
Yes, I can. Yes,
yeah. How did you get into kiteboarding, man? How'd that happen?
Well, I first got into windsurfing 35 years ago, and that was just freedom on the water. Ecologically friendly because you're just using the wind. You're not burning all kinds of gas. And then as I started working and the kids started growing in career and travel, I got away from that. But then we were on vacation someplace and you see these guys in these kiteboards, jumping over the waves, and I thought, I'll have to do that in another lifetime. But as I was talking to one of my mentees, a woman who grew up in Cote d'Ivoire, asked me to speak to some founders in Panama. I was just like, I got enough to do here in the United States. And she said, well, you did mention that you want to go kiteboarding. If you come to Panama and speak to the entrepreneurs there, I promise we'll teach you how to kiteboard. Oh boy. So I went, I learned how to get up in Panama. I learned how to navigate in Turkey. And I finally got up and could call myself a kiteboarder from sailing in Brazil. However, it is a dangerous friggin' sport. And just like I've skydived once, I think I'm done with kiteboarding, but I can check the box and say I did it.
Okay, there you go. Okay, because there's some kiteboarding, outside your yard there in Chicago on Lake Michigan. Yeah. The challenge is wetsuit almost required, and it's really probably not bad in August and September. The problem is any other of the 10 months, you either got ice or you got cold water in that Great Lake, man.
Well, in Chicago, we've adopted the Scandinavian motto of there's no such thing as bad weather. It's just the failure to dress properly for it. So we get kiteboarders out there scraping ice off their boards.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. All right. So here on Winners Find a Way, we always talk about, the quote of winners, when shown data that they're losing, find a way to win. The first thing, Tony, I want to start with, is give me a time in your life where you were there, for me, this has been such an impactful quote, right? For me, because I realized as an athlete, and you and I were both ball players, and man, you surround yourself with the people who are like, hey, I got to keep trying to figure it out. I can't keep hitting 120 and stay on the team, right? So I gotta get it together. I can't make errors. I got to go out and start fielding 150 ground balls a day extra, and they find a way, right? Data's not good, and they change and adapt. Tell me about a time that you had to do that.
Oh, I'll tell you the first time I can really remember being faced with this, Trent, was when I was 23 years old. Okay. I hate school, Trent. I'm not gonna lie to you. I absolutely hate school. I've hated it since the second day of kindergarten. So when I went to school, I thought, okay, what's the one career I can go into where I will never have to go back to school again? And my dad looked at me, he says, well, you want to be an engineer, you'll always have a job. I was like, good enough for me, Dad. Is special kind of engineer I need to be? He said, electrical, just be electrical. And he's a man of few words. He said, do that. So I get my electrical engineering degree. I get out. I don't I don't even want to walk on the same side of the street as a library, Trent. That's how bad I wanted to not be in school anymore.
Okay, so P.S. though, like you're at Northwestern, man. Like this is not like an easy school.
I know. So now I said,
you're pretty good at this school thing, by the way, if you're at Northwestern.
But I'm going to do the hardest thing so I don't have to go back again. And I go to engineering.
I got it.
I get my engineering degree. I take a job at Chrysler Corporation, one of the big three, back in 1979. It's like going to work for Microsoft, Amazon, or Facebook at that time, or Google back then. And I'm like, oh, I'm done. 30 years from now, I'll have a gold watch. I'll have a kid at Michigan State. I'll have another one at Michigan, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Retire in 30 years and I'm good. Trent, I got laid off after the first year with 300 of my very best friends because Chrysler was just wiping people out again, like Amazon and Microsoft and Google are wiping out people now. And at 23, when you think you've done everything you need to do, you think you got this thing licked, you paid your dues and everything is just shattered. I was like, okay, again, I think I've always been a coachable guy. I'm the oldest of 6 boys. So I always had to coach somebody in something. I went, okay. Like you said, this is like batting 120. This is like batting 100. What do I need to do? And it was the first time in my life I got the inspiration that you have to always know you personally are responsible for knowing what you are solving for. And at that point, I realized I wasn't solving for a job. I hadn't solved for a job. I had to solve for my own personal financial independence. And that was really the point at which I would say that was the number one life-changing event for me. It's like, figure out what you're solving for and then get after it, find people to help you do it. And it really helps you make it through the tough time. And Clark Atlanta University has a motto that says, find a way or make a way. I hadn't heard that. Didn't hear it till I was about 50, but that was what landed on me when that layoff landed on me.
Yeah. Well, and I love it. Like, to your point, the alarm is set, hitting 100. When you drop below your weight, the alarm is going off, right? And so yeah. Like, yeah, I think it's probably, tell me now, looking back on this, man. I mean, you go get an MBA from Booth from guys. It's MBA, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking back on this, do you think life for Tony Wilkins would have been different if this would have come? Because this came for a lot of my buddies.
Yeah.
At 50 or 51 in 2020, because they did that. We were told, go get your degree, go get a good job. And they were like, yeah, I work for this engineering firm or this big company, Johnson Controlled, you name it, that was hiring all these highly skilled folks. And now you've got 25, maybe 27, 28 years in, and they were like, yeah, it's COVID, nothing we can do. You're totally expendable. And at 50, you're expensive because you've earned your way up, and we'll keep actually the young guys. We don't have to pay that much. But you got to go. And they were 50 getting this lesson for the first time. Tell me how that changed the landscape for Tony Wilkins and your direction up.
Yeah. Trent, I think one of my fundamental concepts, I think I got it from my parents, was you don't think about things that happen, things that occur. You don't think about them happening to you. You think about them happening for you. They show you a different reality of life. And then you get to choose to be the captain of your ship or a passenger in life. And that to me was a big differentiation. I was like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and take the 3 years. Back in those days, they gave you 3 years of severance until you get back on your feet. I'm like, that's not going to work. And even in retrospect, I think everybody has their own clock speed that they're operating at. And to be honest, I don't think I would have lasted 5 years at Chrysler. I might not have lasted 3 because I could feel that I wasn't using my highest and best capabilities at that point. So quiet as it's kept, like 9 months into being at Chrysler with a great job and great mentors and making cars, I actually secretly applied. This is another thing nobody knows about. I applied to Harvard Business School because I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm bored. People are not focused on the mission to try and turn this place around. It doesn't look like it's getting any better, and I can't take the bureaucracy. I didn't realize. I played sports. In sports, everybody's on the same planet trying to figure, hey, we're trying to win. We're doing what we can to beat the other guy. We're all on the same team. I may not like you, but for the moments that we're on the field, we're doing the same thing. It wasn't like that in the real world, in the corporate world. Back in the late 70s in Detroit at Chrysler, a lot of union stuff, a lot of people not getting the fact that this is not guaranteed for you. So I probably wouldn't have made it, because I was trying at that point also to be the best person I could be. And Chrysler did not allow me to do it. So I don't think I would have stayed there the whole time, but it reinforced for me that we all need to be the CEO of ourselves. And as CEO of myself, I was not happy with what was available going on right now. So I would probably not have lasted there very long anyway.
I love that. First, I love that CEO, right? I was shunned a couple years ago on a panel, of diversity, because I was a white guy. And I was like, hey, listen, man, I went to the World Series with 25 other people of 9 nationalities, 13 different languages. Listen, when you're on a team, people don't care if you're purple, green, yellow. There's economic diversity. There's parental, and family support diversity. There's food insecurity diversities. There's these issues of everyone, of where they came from and their countries and their native and their customs. But when there's a mission on a team and you can play, you play. And nobody cares what you look like, where you came from. They don't give a rat. And I'm going,
preach, Trent, preach.
I've seen it, man. And we all got the opportunity. And when Tony's just better than you, Tony gonna play. That's how it's gonna work, man. And I don't care about all the other BS, man, because it's all just racket we're running in our own brains. And it's just crazy. And so when you start talking about the CEO, I have a quote that I put into every company I work with. You are responsible for your results.
That's right. That's right.
Because something, I'm telling you right now, I would love to benefit from Tony's results. Hey, Tony, can you take my results and assign it to my name? Tony has been the CEO of his life a long time, and he has done fabulous. I would love to be coattailing that. But I don't get to do that. I have to be responsible for my results. I don't get to share in Tony's work and Tony's responsibility. And maybe I benefit if he's on my team, right? And we win a world championship because Tony hit 500 in the playoffs. Yes, I'm going to get that from good teammates. But at the end of the day, my value, my contribution always has to be measured. I think people lose that, Tony. People
lose that pretty hard. And the other thing, Trent, here's something that I think is really important, and I probably really reinforced this concept in the last 4 or 5 years. I tell people all the time, you must be ruthless about what you can control, and you must ruthlessly ignore everything you can't control. People tell me how hard it is to raise money, how difficult it is to be this or that and the other. I go, you know what? Let me tell you something. I don't like gravity. Hate gravity. Wish I could leap buildings in a single bound, just like Superman. It's unfair that I have to deal with gravity. But guess what? It's here. So I don't think about gravity anymore. I think about everything in my life I can control. I look for people who point out ways that I can control what I can control. I look for people who are my people, regardless of what they look like or where they came from or what language they speak. If I showed you a list of the folks who I consider my people, there would be nothing in common with them other than they support Tony Wilkins and Tony Wilkins supports them and what they're trying to do. And I think it takes us a long time to get to that point because we think, hey, we're supposed to be in that group or we're supposed to be in this group. Or there's a lot of shiny objects, false coordinates that people follow. And until you really take that 2x4 across the forehead and realize that you You are the only one responsible for what you're trying to solve for. And if you're waiting for the cavalry to come get you, you're going to grow old and be bitter. So, I think that's one of the things I like about you is the fact that, you don't get to be a coach of a World Series championship team without truly inspiring people to do what they do. And guess what? I tell people a lot of times when they are complaining about their situation, I go, you know what happened January 1st, 1863? You go, slavery was abolished. You don't have to be here. You can go trade to another team. You can transfer to another school. You can go work at another company. But until you have made that decision, I would suggest that you try and figure out how to make it work here.
Yeah, I think it's such good advice, man. I mean, it is such good advice that I love that no one's coming. Like I think people are waiting on something, and I'm like, no one's coming, man. Like that is not happening. And as you talked about that, like realizing, did you feel lied to? Like, I mean, in the way, like, and I'm not saying like in a poor way, like, but like get a degree, get the job. I mean, you were at Chrysler 9 months going, I am pigeonholed in a role of engineering that I understand and I can do, but this is like me taking my souped up laptop and I have a $4,000 laptop, and I go, yeah, I check my email and I web surf. it's like I'm using it at 2%, right? And it's like the biggest waste of potential. And you're feeling that. At some point, did you feel like, because this is an era you and I grew up in, did you feel like we got lied to? Like you're going to get this and it's going to work out great?
Trent, that's maybe the first time I've ever even thought about feeling a certain kind of way. I have been a long time disciple of reality. Yeah. So when you show like Michelle Obama's, not Michelle Obama, but Tony, I can't think of her name, but she's an author. She says, when people show you who they are, trust them, believe it. So when I got to Chrysler, man, all the big executives walking around, the shiny cars coming out. I'm like, this is heaven. Yeah. And then as I started dealing with certain things and attitudes and perspectives, and I was like, well, that was the demo. This is reality. And then I've always said to myself, and I give this credit to my dad, who says a Wilkins man can fix everything but the crack of dawn and a broken heart. And we're working on both of those things. So for me, if I didn't like my circumstances, oh man, I went into the wood shop and tried to figure out how to get it out. Because again, I guess I just wasn't born with the idea that anybody else is going to do for me what I need to do for myself. I appreciate help and I'm happy to give help, but I don't feel like anybody owes me anything. And other than my children, who are now grown and gone, I don't know anybody else anything other than the mutual relationship that benefits both of us over time. And I think you and I probably have that thing going on as well, too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that, man. Your dad sounds like a really sharp guy. Like, I mean, just like, first of all, I love that I get to talk to Wilkins man number 1, by the way. I love this. And I think that's really, that's a real big start for a father who's going to have more children and build the model. And he obviously thought through this of what the expectation and what he was going to create. And I think that's a big deal. And what you describe is winners find a way, right? Like, hey, listen, this is what I thought it was going to be. Then I came in and saw the reality of what it is. Were you there with Iacocca?
Oh my gosh. Iacocca, you've given me goosebumps here. That guy was so smooth. He was so cool. He was everything the commercials added, and humble too. One time we were sitting in a meeting, there were like the top 300 Chrysler executives, and us interns were sitting in fold-up chairs in the back of this auditorium. And at the beginning of the conversation, which started at like 1 o'clock, the guy who introduced us said, Lee is in Washington, D.C., wrapping up loan negotiations with President Carter. And he'll be here in about an hour and a half. And I was like, Oh, we got a private jet. Trent, an hour and a half goes by. They're dancing and doing presentations the whole time. Hour and a half comes by. He comes strolling in, looking like he's coming off of a Hollywood set, blue double-breasted suit, and goes up to the podium. And the first thing he says, Trent, he looks out and he goes, "Hey guys, I want to thank you for hanging out and waiting for me. I was a little busy with the president, but let's talk about what's happening to get us straight." No bravado, no arrogance, just we're all in this thing together. He reminded me of some of the best coaches I've had. He's like, we're going to make this happen. So.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, I love that, man. And Iacocca's book is famous, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, the turnaround at Chrysler was a big deal. And obviously a big part of Michigan, a big part of there was a lot of suppliers and all this stuff and a lot of things. And obviously if Chrysler would have gone down at that time, and you said, things weren't great, the turnaround was needed. If it had gone down, I think the state of Michigan would probably be very different.
It would have been tough. And you got to think about the adversity. My father, another quote he had was, "We all have problems. Everybody has problems." So don't forget that part. And if you think about Iacocca, this is the guy who created the Mustang.
Yeah.
He's the father. Everybody says he's the father of the Mustang. But Henry Ford, as the story goes, in Detroit, got a little irritated that Iacocca was getting more press than he was and wound up firing him. Okay, so does Iacocca say, badmouth him and spend his time? There was no social media, but I'm sure he could have got all the media he wanted to. He's just like, okay, that was a good phase in my life. I created the Mustang. That's an American legend. Let me go fix Chrysler. It's just like, you rub up against guys like that and you're never the same person again. So it was a very inspirational time for me.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. As a young man, I was 24, 25 when I signed with Michigan State and Saban, and really got to see him up and close and personal. Yeah. And like you said, when you're around guys who just have it figured out, and you just want to sponge, man. You're just I'm trying to take it all in, man. I don't want to wring it out because I just got to keep gathering it in, It's so good. So let's talk about, you've been out there a long time, angel investor for decades now, right?
Yeah.
And you write this book, The Art of Angel Investing. And, we always talk about this, but at 23, you did a big shift about who you wanted to be, because you're thinking, hey, I'm going to be an electrical engineer. But you're asking the question, what do you want to be? I ask this question of a lot of people, what are you dreaming about?
Yes.
What are you dreaming about? Because I know it's not, man, I'm dreaming about a cubicle that I could sit in for 42 years. I've never heard anyone say that. Just like when we ask our high school kids, what do you want to be? No one says, oh, I'm thinking drug dealer is what I really had on my mind. This is not the go-to. This is the fallback, right? When it all goes wrong and hits the fan, this is what I can do. But when you ask this question, what do you want to be? Why do you start there?
Because as an engineer, as a finance guy, as a MacGyver, fix anything you got kind of guy, it is genetically coded in me to ask the question, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we solving for? And now with my coaching clients and even with young people, I add a very important word, really. What are you really solving for? And, if I get one of these little fluff answers like, oh, I'm going to be in the NBA. Okay, well, I got statistics to say you're not going to be in the NBA. And guess what? If you are in the NBA and you're a superstar 4 years, what are you going to do after that?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they got to think. Yeah. So for me, it's always, there's a Chinese saying that says, if I tell you, you'll forget. And I saw a lot of kids in college whose parents told them, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to join the family firm. That part doesn't work. If I tell you, you'll forget. If I show you, you'll remember. But if I engage you, you'll understand. So to me, Trent, the best way to engage somebody is to ask them a question, a provocative question. And then I also have a tactic called the 5 whys, WHY. You ask somebody why 5 times. What do you want to be? I want to be this. Why? Because this. But why? Because this. But why? Because this. But why? Because this. And, you know, I
get deeper. That gets them deeper.
Get deep. Tell me really, really. And let me tell you, by that 5th why, now I'm getting the real deal. Because, you know, when my kids were very small, I used to laugh because they would ask why. Kids will ask you why all day long.
Yeah.
Because they're not embarrassed, because they don't know, because they're filling up their own bucket. And we lose that a little bit when we don't want to look stupid, when we don't want to be embarrassed, when we think we should be a certain way to somebody else. I was blessed to not be born with the gene of worrying what the hell people are thinking about me.
Yeah, that's a good gene.
I got to learn, what am I trying to do and how do I get there and who can help me?
Yeah,
that has worked real well for me.
I think it's a really good gene. You know, you and I do a lot of coaching with 1%ers, and I'm always astonished. And listen, it's not like I don't have my own imposter syndrome, right? Like I got my own thing going on, you know, like, yeah. And I find this to be true with certain folks who are just really concerned about what other people think.
Yeah.
And I have to tell probably at least once a week, I've got to say to somebody, I think you're going to be staggered when you realize how infrequently they actually think about you. You're worried about, right, Tony? Like, listen, you as my mentor, I want you to think a lot of me, and I want you to admire me, and I want you to appreciate my effort, and I want to make you proud. I mean, you're a guy in my life I really look up to, and that's important to me. But at the end of the day, like, Tony and I sit down for 90 minutes, and the rest of the month, Tony Wilkins doesn't think about Trent Clark for the rest of the month. He thinks about me for 90 minutes, and God bless him. I am thrilled to get those 90 minutes from Tony, and it's so valuable to me. But Tony's got a life, and Tony's got 3 children. He's going to have grandchildren. He's got these other things. He's got things he's got to do. And if I'm like, man, I wonder what Tony thinks about me, man. like he's not thinking about you, man. Like, and I think because I'm a selfish person, like, I'm thinking about what I got to do, the kids I got to pick up, who I got to coach, what's on my schedule. And if someone on my team's thinking, man, I wonder what Trent thinks about, I got to think about, if you're doing your job, I'm never thinking about you. I'm thinking about you. You're doing a great job. I am going to, appreciate that and show you that appreciation. But I don't want to think about you.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And in a portfolio, I tell people, number one, what we are taught to have people think about us creeps up on us. Mm-hmm. And the more successful you are, the higher you go, the more that becomes who you are. My son called me up one day. He said, Dad, he was in college, taking a business class. He said, Dad, I was at Northern Trust at the time. He said, is Northern Trust a Fortune 500 company? I said, yeah. He said, are you an executive at Northern Trust? I said, yeah. He said, wait. You're an executive at a Fortune 500 company? Yeah, but that can't mean a hell of beans to me, because I still got stuff I got to do. Yeah. I'm just in that spot. You're a coach of a World Series winning team, a team that's in the World Series. You might meet somebody who goes, oh my God, you're the coach? Yeah, I am, but we're tied 2 and 2. I got other stuff to think about right now. Yeah. You can't worry about, you have to, this is why I say you got to be the CEO of yourself. You got to know what you're solving for, and you have to know why really, 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 when nobody else is looking, when you're in the bathroom at 5 o'clock in the morning, looking in the mirror, you're asking yourself, what am I doing? Who am I trying to be? Where am I going? That's where the real answers come. And some very, very, and you see this yourselves, top 1% people, they have been charging so hard, so successfully in one direction. When they get it done, they're like, oh wait, now what now? And I did this, but this is really what I was trying to do. and they really, really need some help trying to reconnect and reconstruct who they are deep down. And that to me is the joy of coaching. When I get somebody to say, wow, I never thought of it that way, that means I've brought all my experience, my perspectives, my wins, my losses, my ties, my kissing the sister situations to the world. And I can deliver this in a way to a person who's struggling, and they go, okay. Because people have done that for me, and it's just a blessing and a privilege to be able to do it for other folks.
Yeah, I really, and that's why I think you and I do this, right? Like, people did come before us. They helped us. They came alongside us, and it's matters. So right here on the bottom, you can find Tony Wilkins Chicago on Instagram, Tony Wilkins 76's LinkedIn profile. Get in touch with Tony. You're going to want to do that. So when I think about this, Tony, man, you and I came from the baseball environment, and I was taught pretty early, and this was a good lesson, like, stop believing your press clippings, because they'll love you when your game-winning hit and walk-off homer, and then Clark struck out in the bottom of the ninth with the bases loaded. Why did we even sign this guy?
So true.
Two days ago, I was a hero, man. Like, now
who is that bum? Why do we even have him?
Yeah, you got to take the abuse, man. And if you're like, hey, listen, if you don't know who you are, and you get caught up in that, like, it's a danger zone. Mark Shapiro and I, the president of the Blue Jays, and I talked pretty deep about that. And, like, you just got to realize, and Mark had an interesting life, because he grows up as the son of Cal Ripken's agent, right? Yeah. So you're always seeing these world famous, the Baltimore Orioles are coming in and out of my front living room. And I'm like, man, these guys are the guys. Like, hey, is that Palmer, Jim Palmer? Like, okay, like, yeah, but people just like you and I, same challenges. What do we do with our money? What are we doing? Like, all those things. So the next part of the art of investing, people are like, man, I'd like to get in on this. Man, how do I become, a 0.5% owner in Spot Hero when they sell for $1 billion to Uber, or, whatever the deal is, right? And so, what does that look like, Tony? Well,
again, it starts with, what are you trying to do?
Yep.
What are you trying to do? Because I have one of my buddies who's a super famous, my go-to startup corporate attorney. When I showed him the book and I was like, hey man, what do you think about the book? He's like, Tony, I only invest in startup companies because good friends of mine or close clients of mine say, hey, jump into this deal. I don't even think about it. I write it off as soon as I send it. I don't really have a mission other than it's supporting my legal business. Well, that is a legitimate reason to invest. Yeah. It's legit. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Tony Wilkins was trying to obtain the objective of wake up in the morning and look at the ceiling and saying, my life doesn't change whether I get out of bed or not. I'm not punching a clock when I'm 60 years old anymore. So I had another objective. So that helps you look at deals along the way. And deals are all over the place. People, well, do I have to be an accredited investor? Do I have to be in Silicon Valley? Do I have to know a bunch of people? No, there's deals all over the place. I guarantee there's somebody in everybody who's watching this circle who has a really good idea. They're a solid citizen. They're not going to let you down. They're going to make it happen, but they need 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand to bridge that gap. And they can't go to the bank, and they burned up all their credit cards, and they need that help. And you can look at them and talk to them. You go, I'm going to give you a chance. And you add that to writing a check that you can afford to lose completely. Bada bing, bada boom, you're an angel investor. So much of this, many times I tell people, this book is like the quote from Glinda the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz. You had the ruby slippers with you all the time. You just had to click them 3 times and make it happen. So that's what this book is showing. It's like, it's not that hard. There's opportunities all around you. You just have to ask yourself, what am I trying to do? And then, because you can't learn how to swim from a book, you got to get in the water. You can't learn how to be an investor without writing a check. So start writing some checks and taking the lesson, either triumph because you made the money or tuition because it didn't work out, and keep doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, it's like any other sport. Baseball is not that hard to describe. Bowling is really simple to describe. But man, how many people bowl over, how many people ever have a 200 game in bowling, right?
Yeah, man.
But it's that you got to love it. You got to keep trying. You'll start to see things. I go to baseball games, and now I can tell when somebody throws a slider or throws a curve, but I can't see that at 85 miles an hour. But the only way you do that is by doing it over and over again.
Yeah, repetition. I love that. Triumph or tuition. I love that, man. Like, I think, by the way, I think I should have been the title of your book. I love it.
Next book.
And that's your next book. Yeah, because I think that's a great second book, by the way, to follow up on the lessons of investing, to realize that, I always like this day for that day, right? Like there's, you and I wanted to play college ball, and you go through, 1,000 this days until someone says on that day, yeah, Wilkins, I think we want you over here to come play. And you're like, yeah, man, but that's only one day. And then you got to go back to work again and figure out how to make that team and be a part of it and contribute. But these 1,000 days built into it, there's a lot of time into triumph. There's a lot of tuition to be paid to get to triumph, right?
Yeah.
And I really love that thought process in it. But and I love the quote, man. Like, listen, you don't learn how to swim from a book, right? You got to get in the water. Like that's it. You got to get into the deal. I always like that because I had this question probably about 10 times in my strength and conditioning training the most elite athletes in the world. Yeah. And I probably 10 times in my life, I've had people come to me and go, listen, Trent, I really want to get in shape. I don't like sweating. And I was like, holy cow, you talk about a magic pill, bro. Like, this is, there may be a magic pill out there and people can talk about that shot and stuff. I'm just going to tell you, there's going to be a price. There is going to be a price for that, man. And so we'll see, but always classic, Tony Wilkins. Let's talk about the last thing here before we got to go.
Okay.
You talk about this in your book, and you even mentioned it to your, in your story of overcoming and realizing Chrysler. You were with a Fortune 10 in Detroit in the 70s because the auto industry was the thing, right? And now we talk about, Google and ChatGPT and all the brands that are booming and coming, and the landscape's different. It's certainly not in Detroit, like, although Detroit's on the up and coming, I'm telling you, but the landscape is different. Change has happened. You have a unique view on change.
Only that it is the one thing that I think everybody around the world, no matter where you are, no matter what religion you're at, we all know that change is constant. We know that. And there's two types of people. There's the people who get it and accept it and move on. And then there are the people who just kind of hunker down and just hope, maybe I won't have to do anything. And then, I laugh sometimes when I go to the Amish territory where they're still driving around on horses and buggies, but they made a choice. They said 1873 was good enough. We don't need anything past 1873. But I think as we get older, it is harder to embrace change. It's just so hard. And I think as we get older, especially if we've had some success, we have to let that success shed like it's a snake's skin and move on to the next thing, because the next thing is coming faster and faster. I mean, there's one phrase I'd like to leave with everybody who's here, which they say, I wish I had come up with it, but I think somebody else came up with it. I just think it's so appropriate for what's happening to us today. AI is not taking jobs. People who use AI are taking jobs from people who don't. And every technological innovation, whether it was the cotton gin or the electric light bulb or automatic transmission, you do a Google search on how hard people fought against automatic transmission when that came out. Change is going to happen whether you like it or not. So if you want to have what I call a beautiful life, let go of some of your preconceived notions and try some new stuff and talk to some younger people and let go of your hard-held beliefs. I spoke with a woman one time, and this is what I mean by you can get good ideas from anywhere. I mentored a young woman somewhere on the East Coast who showed up in my inbox to say, hey, can I have a 30-minute mentoring consultation with you? And I gave her my best ideas. I tell people, whether you're a sixth grader or a CEO, I give you the best I got. And at the end of this conversation, Trent, she said to me, Mr. Wilkins, thank you for your counsel. I am firm in my mission and flexible in my methods. I went, that's the hokey pokey right there.
Right? Firm in my mission, flexible in my methods. Yeah. I like that. That's a great quote, right?
Think about all the pitchers you've seen over the years who have just crazy mechanics, but can still deliver 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, I wish I'd have known that. Like, I wish I'd have known that quote back in my Indian days. I remember everyone upset with one of these pitchers who had a distinct delivery and blah blah blah, and didn't. Talking to the ball, right? And like you see these people, and I'm like, and I wish I'd have been able to say that, because like I'll tell you what that guy was. That guy was very firm in his mission. All he did was get people out. And last time I looked, Tony, that's the mission, baby. Like, listen, I want a guy up there to go up and get people out. And like when he does that, I don't care how he does it. Like, if he's got to lick the ball and throw it underhand, like, I don't care. Like, he gets 27 outs in a row, we win. Like, we're going to score a run, man. Cleveland, we would average like 7 runs a game. Like, we were an offensive juggernaut, right?
I think some people get so tied to what worked for them in the past. You have to say, maybe it's always a new world. Every time that sun comes up over the horizon, it's a new world, and you have to compare what you know to what might happen. If you saw the movie The Big Short, which The Big Short, book, the line in the beginning of that movie from Mark Twain, I love this line. It said, "It's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so."
Ooh.
Things change.
Twain's got some great quotes, by the way, right? Because of my people, the other Twain one I use, I think it was Twain, is I spent a lifetime worrying about 90% of the things that never happened.
There's a country song. There's a country comedian who says, he's talking about his girlfriend. And he says, she just spends all day worrying about stuff that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, it's easy to get dragged into it with the media. And want to do
so easy.
Bitch and moan about stuff. But Trent, the older I get, the less time I intentionally allocate toward that. I might spend a couple of times say, hey, this is tough or that's tough. But, the fact of the matter is none of us wants to go back to a single day in the past when we didn't have all the technology tools, people, friendship, access that we have today. So,
I love it, man. I when you think about like our cognitive nimbleness, our ability to adapt, and always testing that. I was in Ireland like 6 weeks ago, and I rent a car. That's a manual. It's a manual Audi on the left side. And I got to drive on the other side of the road, and I'm like.
And what about the roundabouts?
Oh yeah, the roundabouts are stupid. Right? Like, and you got to go roundabout the wrong way. So it's like, oh my gosh, man! Like I am like, this is crazy. And I mean, the thought that I have been driving for nearly now 40 years of my actually over 40 years of my life, right? That's almost on autopilot. I'm basically my own, I'm my own, what's the car? My auto drive, right? I could do it all. I don't think about any of it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I am cognitively challenged driving. I don't want to take a phone call. I don't want to do anything because I am fixated on getting this car to where it is and shifting gears with my left hand. And I was like challenged, and I was thinking, this is so good for my brain elasticity right now. Like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. And I felt like my shoulders were a little farther back after I did it. I was like, I don't know if you know or not, but I rented a manual car in Ireland, Tony.
And then you get off the highway and the roads get narrower and narrower and narrower.
Yeah. These trucks are going by you and your mirror has like an inch to not getting killed, right?
Right.
And I'm like, man, this is wild. And so it's interesting how we adapt. Do you think, last question, these kids are changing constantly? The technology, they are so used to it. Do they have an advantage over guys like you and me where it didn't change so fast? We got time to slip into change where they're like going boom, 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 boom. Like, 2 years ago, that technology I'll never use again because I don't know, that's old. And you're like, bro, you're 17 and you use that regularly at 15 and it's gone for good.
Yeah. I think there's good news and bad news about it. Again, I'm kind of genetically oriented to look at the good news. And I'm blessed to have a lot of really sharp young kids from, 12 to 40 that I interact with. I'm hoping maybe that's because I'm getting back what I put out. But, we had to unlearn a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
These kids don't have to unlearn anything. They just are continually consuming. Now, the challenge for them, and I tell young people all the time, we had to learn how to hang in and put up with and deal with stuff. That's not on their radar. The challenge they have is choosing among a mind-boggling array of opportunities, an incredible number of shiny objects that come at you all the time on social media. Everybody looks like their life is wonderful. So what do I do this and how to do that? And then even with AI, I learned how to do math with a slide rule. And then I thought my mother must really love me because she bought me a little calculator. These kids talk to the computer, to the phone. I'll leave you with this. I was listening to some leaders who were talking about AI and the entire revolutions that's coming with agentic AI and, agents teaching agents. And an administrator from Illinois Tech said, well, what are we supposed to teach kids? And one of the leaders looked at her and said, teach them how to solve problems with other people, because AI gives you information that's already been prepared and then will hallucinate or try to come up with something that makes you happy. What I need you to do is teach them how to work with other human beings to solve problems that we haven't seen yet. AI can only accelerate that. If you're a lumberjack, if you're a great lumberjack, you know where you're supposed to put the axe and how a tree is supposed to fall. AI is just the buzzsaw. You still have to know how to be a lumberjack. And that's what I think we as leaders need to be thinking about in the future. How do we work together to get these big problems that are ahead of us solved joyfully, successfully, and sustainably?
Love it. Tony Wilkins, my man. Like, I love it, man. Thank you for coming on, Tony. Always a pleasure to have you. Winners Find a Way every week, 10 a.m. Eastern, Thursdays, live on my YouTube, Leadership at YouTube, my LinkedIn, and my Facebook Live. And then 7 a.m. Pacific, of course. And then the podcast drops every Friday morning on all the networks, Apple, Spotify, all the biggies. So please check us out, like it, share it, be with us. For Tony Wilkins today, check out the bottom, Tony Wilkins Chicago. It's his Instagram, Tony Wilkins 76 is his LinkedIn. You can check it. For me as a growth guy, like Tony, we're Abundantly Mindset. Check on my Calendly. I'm always taking 15-minute calls. Love to help you with any of your challenges you're facing. Happy to direct your step. And so you can click on my Calendly and check that out. For everybody else, as always, winners find a way.